How is it September already? Not sure if you noticed, but online engagement was down because everyone was offline living life. I mean, I sure was. I was in Tanzania climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, then went on a safari, and I made sure I was completely off the grid. I was on airplane mode the whole time. And now that we're back to reality, how do we balance and grow our business both online and offline when everyone is zoomed out? Don't worry, I got you. Because in this episode, I share 5 tips and action items you can do to grow your business online and offline your way. All right, let's drop the beat. Legacy Leader, welcome to the Color Your Dreams podcast for women of color and allies. I'm Elaine Lucartas, your host and a business and career coach that LA Weekly named the #1 thought leader and Apple News named one of the top 5 business coaches. I know you've established yourself in a leadership and executive role, and this podcast is here to remind you that you can create a holistic life so you can lead without sacrificing your well-being. So expect me and my guests to have some conscious conversations with you on creating intentional direction and sustainable strategies so that you can create an aligned team, career, business, and life. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you a one-size-fits-all prescription. You'll learn how to define your own holistic leadership so you can prioritize a life led by fulfillment and self-trust. Now, grab your coffee, tea, or boba, and let's follow your dreams to lead your legacy. Summer has officially ended for us Americans. I mean, I'm wearing flannel right now, and when Labor Day hits, it's a reminder that vacations have ended and the real world has begun. And we're reminded about this, especially when we go to Target and Starbucks already selling PSL. And if you don't know what PSL means, it means pumpkin spice lattes. Can't believe it's here. And I don't know about you, but my numbers for online engagement, like my podcast downloads, my emails, my social media, went incredibly down in July and August. But am I upset? Actually, no. I actually know this is not surprising. And maybe you felt the same thing too. You have to understand it was the first summer since COVID where there was no restrictions. And just like the rest of the world, I want to get out of my home and be off my laptop, off my phone. And I did. I went to Tanzania. I hiked Mount Kilimanjaro. I went on a safari. I was 2 weeks completely off the grid. And another thing, maybe you're like me and you have a similar seasonality like me since I'm a business and career coach and consultant, where summer is slow for me. Like I look at my numbers and July and August tend to be slow for me. But then there's other industries. For example, I have a client who's a real estate agent. She just closed 7 homes the past 2 weeks. We all know when it is summertime, it is a great time for real estate agents because that is when people are buying and that's when people want to buy because it's summertime. So, just a reminder is look at the seasonality in your business when it is slow and when it is fast. So, now that September is here and everyone, including myself, having Zoom fatigue, the question is how are we, as business owners and human beings first, going to balance building a business both online and offline? And in this podcast episode, I'm going to share how to do both. But I also want to remind you balancing is a lie. You could check out the recent podcast episode before this on that. So, I am going to share with you a total 5 tips for you. So, first tip is, where do you shine? What do you enjoy doing? I want to focus on you as opposed to what I'm going to tell you to do or what other experts are going to tell you to do. We need to figure out what brings you joy. Do you love content creating? For example, I have a client who's a restaurant owner. She's also a former dancer and she loves creating videos on TikTok and Instagram. And that's how she gets customers to her restaurant. She loves creating content. Or do you love connecting with people offline versus online? What do you like doing? So I just mentioned my client who's a real estate agent. I have two clients who are real estate agents, and they love meeting with people in person. And one of them, who's a baby boomer, loves meeting with people in person. And that makes sense because that's her generation. So, what works best for you? What brings you joy? And we often think that we need to focus on our ideal client, what they want. And yes, that is important, but we need to figure out what brings you energy and helps you shine. So I am a millennial. For those millennials listening to this out there, I love writing blogs. Do you remember saying a live journal? Oh, loved them. And which makes sense why I have my own blogs. You could go check them out at elainelu.com/blog. And I have my own newsletter that I come out with every 2 weeks. It's my Gifts and Gifts newsletter, How Millennial, because there are gifts in there to make you laugh. And gifts, like I'm just dropping tips and advice. And you could join that at elainelu.com/join. And sure, I am not a dancer like my client, but I love talking, which is why you are listening to my Color Your Dreams podcast. So, what I want you to hear is I've created a business that brings me joy in doing what I'm doing. And if you've listened to my podcast before, I've talked about how I used to do monthly events, which I loved doing, except I am older and I cannot hold space that many times in a year. That's why I do 2 retreats a year. And that's why I do a podcast because it lives on beyond me and you can listen to it whenever you want. It also honors my energy. So here's what I want you to do: take some time, about 30 minutes by yourself. Turn off your phone. Can you do that? Don't look at your emails. Do pen to paper and journal. How do you want to create a business that brings you joy and lights you up? And be okay if it's different from anyone else. So, for example, when I came into my coaching business back in 2017, everyone was talking about going online. But I love meeting with people in person. I'm a former fundraiser, and I'm one of very few coaches who actually still meets with their clients in person. So if my clients happen to live in the LA area or they visit, because LA is a place where people tend to visit, I'm actually a member at a country club in Pasadena. And if my clients live close to me or they visit, I give them an option to do our sessions in person versus Zoom because I get more energy in person. Plus, the commute's only 5 minutes away, so it's not that long. But even right now, I am recording this podcast on Zoom and I do not want to look at my face right now. So instead, I'll just be straight up with you. I am looking at my Google Talk of notes on what to say about this podcast. That is what I'm doing right now. So, once again, where do you shine? What do you enjoy doing? And if you need more support on this, you could check out episode 11, where I shared about my identity crisis, where I had to realign my business, career, and life. You could listen to that episode. So, second, this is about your ideal client now. Understand your ideal client. Who are they? For example, I generally work with career and business leaders. These are clients that are 30 and up. They are also busy kicking ass in their careers, businesses, their moms. I have some grandmas, and they're focused on their holistic life, on their fitness, being with family, having solo trips. So they don't have time to be scrolling online all the time, but they do have time and love listening to podcasts, which is why I have one. It just matches up. I love talking. My audience loves listening to me talk versus looking at videos. They don't have time scrolling. I mean, you're listening to my podcast right now. You're probably driving right now, washing dishes, folding clothes. I don't mean to call you out, but this is what I do personally as well. When I listen to podcasts, I'm doing other things, whether that's working out, washing dishes, or even folding my clothes or cleaning. So, questions for you to think about when it comes to your ideal clients. What is their age group? Are they a specific gender? Are they non binary? What's their socioeconomic status? What are their values? What do they do for a living? What do they also do outside of what they do professionally? How does their personal life look like? Are they parents, not parents? Are they caregivers? And to have a better understanding of your ideal clients and better questions to ask, check out episode 4 with my marketing strategist, Monica Schrock, on how to start being less dependent on social media. All right. Third, let's understand where to focus on social media. So I kind of touched on it already. What generation do you want to target? So, for example, Gen Z tends to love TikTok. Millennials loves Instagram, and Gen X and baby boomers are love Facebook. I know I gave some general information, and if you feel attacked, like I'm generalizing, go ahead and ask your audience. Ask people you know in terms of your demographic of who you want to work with and message them. Maybe you have friends or family members who you possibly meet that niche that you want to work with. Hey, what social media platform do you use? Do you consume with? So, like I said, I work with busy career leaders, business leaders, where they look to professionally is LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn at Elaine Lou Cardis. And I share a lot of my thought leadership there. And LinkedIn also named me a top communication voice. I use Instagram, but for fun. And what's interesting that I noticed with my audience, and I had to think about this in terms of me as a consumer of Instagram, I use Instagram to distract myself. I look at memes, I look at GIFs. My boyfriend, partner always sends me GIFs. My friends always send it to me. And this past summer, when I was posting my trip to Africa, like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, I got the most engagement. And it's interesting, and that makes sense because my messaging in my business is helping women of color business owners and career leaders and allies have a more sustainable life, a life outside of their business. So that was just interesting. But I was also posting about Africa because I feel like everybody needs to go there. And yes, there's multiple countries to go to there, but the safari was just life changing. And I'm trying to convert everybody to go to a safari because you just get to see these animals be free and you just question everything about your life. I got kind of depressed coming back. Like, I woke up every day seeing animals roam around, eating, killing. Even saw 2 lions having sex. And then when I got back home, I woke up. I'm like, what do I get to do today? Go on Zoom. It made me sad, but it just showed me what life is, and life is just about being. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm going to pull myself together. Legacy leader, want more tips and advice for your business, career, and life? Sign up for my Gifts and Gifts newsletter at elainelou.com/join. So here's 3 things you'll get. 1, you'll get funny gifts, because who doesn't love memes and pop culture references? This newsletter is so fetch. 2, you'll also receive actionable gifts, tips on your business, career, and life. And 3rd, you'll also receive the gift of me. So my Gifts and Gifts newsletter is like an up-to-date diary. Think Zanga or Live Journal, where I'm going to share vulnerable stories, relatable mistakes, and important life tips like what to watch on Netflix. So if you're ready for those fun gifts and actionable gifts to create a more sustainable life, join my newsletter at elainelou.com/join. So I want you to know, where do your clients come from? So like, I have a client who creates sustainable dog products. So their audience loves going on Instagram, right? Because not only do they have an Instagram account about their dog, they're looking at other Instagram accounts about dogs. So if you're unsure where your audience hangs out on social media, ask what social media platform they consume. Just go ahead and ask them. All right. If you want to understand more about your audience, check out this podcast episode with my marketing strategist, Monica Schrock. It's episode 38. It's part 2, 1 year later, how I became less dependent on social media. So, 4th, get out of your house. According to a study by Sprout Social, the average engagement of Instagram has declined by 10% in 1 year. Some background for you. I'm a former fundraiser where I met with the donors who would donate thousands and millions for community college scholarships. How I was able to get these donations? It was from in person coffee and lunch meetings. It was going out to events outside of my house. When I started my coaching business, I remember people saying, well, you could save a lot of time, do things online. And yes, you can. You could save a lot of time and efficiencies to do things online. But I noticed there was a lot more trust when meeting with people in person. Not saying you have to do all three things when it comes in person, just three things to consider. One, locally, look for local organizations, clubs, nonprofits. See if they have upcoming events. Usually, a big city or town has, or a region has a chamber of commerce, which is business leaders who come together once a month or twice a month. I'm in Pasadena and there is a chamber of commerce. I have checked it out. And by the way, what I want you to notice is check it out. You don't have to commit and go to all of their events, just check out one event. So I'm in Pasadena and I'm actually a member of a country club called University Club of Pasadena. And I get to meet other members. I've been able to get members or clients from the University of Club members. And that location has been the University Club of Pasadena has been a great relationship, great collaboration because it's also where I host my events, my retreats. And I've also been asked to do a workshop for them and in addition, I get to meet my clients in person, and they're only a 5-minute drive. So, locally, look at what events you can go to. And even locally, look at people you could partner with. So, I know I talked about me, but I have a client who's an occupational therapist for children. She collaborates with local doctors, and it's just been such a huge referral system for her. Second thing you could do in person is go to conferences. So this past year, I went to two conferences and I was very intentional. I didn't want to choose just all the coaches and online people that go to events. I used to go to all of that. I wanted to go to conferences that were broad, that I could meet with other people who shared similar values, but also did different things. So I went to two conferences. I also applied to speak and I got to speak for both of them. One of them is Alt Summit for creative female entrepreneurs and Podcast Movement for podcasters. And those 2 conferences have just been amazing. And not yes, I have gotten clients, I have gotten speaking engagements from those conferences because I got to meet people, but it wasn't just that. It was building relationships, it was building friendships, and an exchange of knowledge and tips that have been so helpful. I have also bought services from people I have met at these conferences, and they've also taught me advice and tips on how I could save money and time. There's just so much trust in meeting people in person. And I will say, I love Podcast Movement, the conference. I got to meet these thought leaders, and I have been to other events and conferences where you meet the speaker or a speaker, and they just think they are all that in a bag of chips. Like there is this hierarchical level where they think like they're higher than you, but I just did not feel that at Podcast Movement Alt Summit. It was just incredible. One of my friends, she's actually my lawyer, Andrea Sager, owner of Legalpreneur. She's also a podcast host. She has been going to Podcast Movement every year since I believe it was 2019. She's been a sponsor there and she gets clients from there. So go to conferences. It's easier to build trust with people in person. And also, it's been very nice to get out of the house, but I will be honest. I don't know if any of you follow human design. I'm a projector. So I just came back from Podcast Movement and I was filming a course. By the way, the course I filmed, the topic I did on with entrepreneurship, it was because I met someone at Alt Summit talking about this specific topic, and that's how I got to film this course. It was from someone I met at a conference. So now, I don't know. I'm just tired, one, but two, I'm very grateful that I got to meet the right people. And then third, if you want to speak yourself, collaborate to speak. It doesn't just have to be you. I said that I got to speak and go to Podcast Movement and Alt Summit, but it wasn't just me on stage. I got to share the stage with my friends. I got to pitch with them because not only are you reaching your audience, you're also reaching their audience and you're reaching the conference's audience. It's a great way to amplify your audience, but also it is fun. And I just have friends that I will continue to keep in touch with. The amazing woman that I got to share stage with at Podcast Movement, we are planning to do quarterly retreats. So I'm so excited. So here's an action item. Look up one association or one organization locally in your area and check out an event. You do not have to commit to going to all of their events. Just try, check out if it's your vibe. And for your industry that you work in, see if there's a conference you can attend. And if you see someone in your industry, see if you could collaborate with one another, maybe speak together, maybe do an Instagram live. If you have a podcast, have them come to your podcast. So, for a resource on how to collaborate more, how to get more referrals, listen to episode 23, How to Get Clients with Ease Through Referrals and Renewals. All right. Fifth tip, last tip on growing your business online and offline. Don't burn out. Be honest with your capacity. I know I shared all this advice from the 4 tips on how to grow your business both online and offline. And you're probably thinking, Elaine, I cannot do all of that. No, you don't have to. Now, I want you to be mindful of what is your capacity. Before you add anything else onto your plate for your business, look at what's going on in your life. Add to your calendar your solo times, the workouts you want to do, the family outings and weddings, the family get-togethers, when you plan to hang out with friends, what you already have going on in your business, like what days do you work with your clients? So, for example, I do my coaching calls Tuesday through Thursdays and see what time you have left so you could focus on growing your audience both online and offline. And maybe you can't focus on all the social media. So, what is one social media platform you can focus on that helps your audience? And also, when you try one social media platform, try it for 3 months and see if it's working or see what you need to tweak. And if you can't fit a second one, that is great. But just try one for now. And if you don't have time to go to 2 conferences, that's fine. Maybe try going to one. Maybe you don't want to go to any conferences. Maybe just seeing too much people is way too much for you because you're an introvert. That is okay. Like I said in the beginning, the first tip was what brings you joy, right? So maybe you want to go to a local event where it is smaller. That is completely okay. And for collaborating, maybe once a month, or do a coffee chat, whether that is virtually or in person. And if you want to figure out more of your capacity in terms of time and energy, check out episode 5, Time and Energy Management to Get Your Life Back. So, I love ending it with a reflection and action item. And it actually goes back to the first tip. I want you to reflect. So go to a coffee shop, go to a sofa by yourself, turn off your phone. What brings you joy? How do you want to connect with people? Do you love creating content? How? Video? Or do you like writing? And if you hate social media altogether, that's okay. Then just do it in person. That's fine. Do what works best for you. Because remember, it is all about creating a business that is sustainable for your time and energy. And I want to invite you, if you want to meet with fellow business owners in growing your business both online and offline and meet with me and also my team, including Monica Schrock, my marketing strategist, Juliana Wise, my systems and project manager, to grow your business sustainably, I have a retreat that's happening on Thursday, October 5th and Friday, October 6th in the LA area. I will take care of lunch both days, dinner on Thursday. You just have to fly or drive down and get your own hotel and Airbnb. And if you're interested in attending, go to elainelu.com/retreat. And it's not going to be your stuffy type of conference or retreat or event. In fact, you get to wear whatever you want. If you want to wear sweatpants, go ahead. It does not matter. We also have some Reiki and sound bowl healing that's going to happen, and just a lot of time to connect with others. And we're going to create your plan for 2024 while reflecting on 2023. So the retreat is $1,500, but because I'm obsessed with Target, how does Target have to do with this? I want to give you a coupon code called Target Lover, all caps, where you get $500 off and you just have to pay $1K for the retreat. So as of today, August 31st, when I am recording this podcast, we have about 12 people confirmed for the retreat. I am limiting this to 13 to 25. I care more about the right people. So go to elainelu.com/retreat to check out details on the retreat, schedule a call, or register. Use that Target Lover coupon code. So I hope to see you there. Otherwise, tune into the next Color Your Dreams podcast episode. Legacy Leader, if you enjoyed this podcast episode on how to grow your business online and offline, where it brings you joy, here are 4 things you can do if you feel called to do them. Number 1, share this with a friend. Send them a personal message on how this episode can help them create a business that feels good for them, whether it's online, offline, or both. Second, leave a rating and review for the Color Your Dreams podcast so more women of color and allies can create a sustainable business and life. This podcast was created so I can give back. Third, want to come to my next Color Your Dreams retreat on Thursday, October 5th and Friday, October 6th in LA with 12 other business and career leaders where you could create a sustainable plan? Then go to elainelu.com/retreat. You could schedule a call to see if it's a good fit, or you could register and use the coupon code Target Lover, all caps, to get $500 off. And then fourth, if you would like to see how to work with me and my team to create a more sustainable life where you could be present with yourself, with others, create your own checklist of success, not one that's created from society and loved ones, then schedule a complimentary legacy business and career review call at elainelu.com/call. Legacy Leader, did you enjoy today's episode? If so, subscribe to the Color Your Dreams podcast and leave a rating and review. It goes a long way and it lets other fellow leaders find this incredible free resource. And if you want more, you can find all the links and information mentioned in this episode in the show notes on my website at elainelu.com/podcast. That's ELAINELOU.com/podcast. All right, Legacy Leader. I'll see you in our newest episode in 2 weeks. And remember to follow your dreams to lead your legacy.